I'd recommend that you click on Speaker View on the top right-hand side of your screen if you're on a laptop. If you're on a mobile phone, that might be more difficult to find. But with so many people on the call, if you click on that, you'll be able to see who is speaking to you. And I'm going to share a screen with you. And in the meantime, we will keep everybody on mute, but you'll be given ample opportunity to be able to contribute and ask any questions you want to later on. The purpose of this call is to take forward some of the things you'll be aware of if you've read all of the correspondence that's come out from Gulf Island to you. I know you've been inundated with so much information that you may not have got reading it all yet, but we thought this was the best way of communicating this information to you. And we also want to talk through the transition period with you to give you some more information about how that will work and exactly what's going to be expected of you as the main people at club level dealing with this important issue. As somebody said to us, this is the biggest change in handicapping since the early 1970s, and it's certainly proving to be that with such a major change in the way things are done at club level. But I suppose even if you go back to the existing scheme, if we went to most of our clubhouses and asked our club members, how does the scheme work? Very few of them would have any idea what goes on behind the scenes to create a handicap. And that will probably be the same as we go forward into the WHS. But it's vitally important that you understand it because you're the people who are going to have to manage it at club level. So hopefully this will be of some help to you and that you'll gain something from this. I think I started the last presentation we did on handicapping by saying I think it was almost 50 slides to go through. You'll be very pleased to know that this is a much shortened presentation tonight. Some of the slides will be very quick. I don't think we have less than 20 slides to look at this evening. Some are just pictures to look at. So the intention is the presentations will be over very quickly. To give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you want to after it. But hopefully the content will give you some information as well. I think I've circulated the agenda. The transition to WHS, we're going to look at the current position and the differences between that and what it will be under the WHS. We're then going to look at handicapping for members and clubs within WHS and how the transition will work for that. We'll talk briefly about course ratings and handicap index. All clubs should have their course ratings by now, but we'll briefly discuss that again. And then we'll talk about acceptable scores, and lastly, in that section we'll look at inter-club competitions and where we are with that subject as at today's date. Then Roma's going to look at the club scorecard, types, terms of competition and responsibilities, the annual handicap review, and then overseas membership. And then I've dissected down some of the questions that you posed us when you registered for these calls, and they're going to be put to Nick and to Roma to answer. Some have already been dealt with during the rest of the presentation, so hopefully any other question has already been answered by the time we get to that. So we'll move on, and we're going to deal with, as I said, the transition first. So the current system, as you're all aware, is that each club has its own software, and I've listed some of the main ones in front of you. And then GolfNet then connects to that software, and both the club and the member have a login to GolfNet to do different things. And effectively, GolfNet was a membership card database and a copy of each handicap register, which was held at club level. So that became the database. and scores were kept on GolfNet, but they resided primarily at each club. So that was the system that we've been working for a number of years, and it relied on clubs uploading data to GolfNet, and then it was visible by both clubs and by members. Now, in the new system, when we get to WHS in full operation, you'll still have your club software. So at club level, you will have your software. So the existing providers are all signed up to WHS, along with some new companies, and they're listed in front of you. And now, for those of you who are interested, I will copy the presentation by email to you after we finished on Wednesday. So you'll get a copy of this presentation for you to peruse at your leisure, but feel free to make notes as well if you wish. So there will be other providers coming into the marketplace offering their services to you in addition to the other providers. Now, some of you will know that each of the providers was asked to sign a license agreement to work under WHS, and both Club Systems and Intelligent Golf were the last to sign that. And that's put back slightly our launch of how we are actually launching the WHS system. It hasn't put back the launch date of the 2nd of November, but it has changed our plans in how we were going to launch the WHS system. But they're the providers, and you will make your own choice based on the information that you have as to which you wish to use. Then, in addition to that, there will be on golfireland.ie, there will be a member login only. So golfireland.ie will offer a member login for a member to be able to view their handicap index and all of their handicap records. And that will be available via an app from early 2021. So golfireland.ie is the new website that's taking over from golfnet.ie. And we'll look at the front page of that in a moment, just to give you a feel for how that looks. So members only, not clubs, will have a login, will be able to register and then log in to the Golf Island website to view their handicap index and handicap information. Clubs, however, will have a back office login to what's called the Golf Island Clubhouse. And that will be available at clubhouse.golfireland.ie. Now, we'll talk about that in a moment as well, as to what you will be able to do on the Clubhouse. But clubs will no longer have a login to golfireland.ie, or as it was, GolfNet. They will be separated. So the clubs will go to clubhouse.golfireland.ie. Members will go to golfireland.ie. That's a screenshot of what will be the Golf Island website. And members will go to that top right-hand side where it says My Golf Login. So members will be able to log in to see their handicap information through that login. Everything else on the website is available through those boxes, which you can see, those headings at the top. Everything is available through those, and then subheadings that will appear after you select that. So this is to give you a feel for what this looks like and what it will look like come the 2nd of November. The content is still being added to it as we speak daily. And things are being added to this website. But that's the front page of the site as it will look. And the My Golf login is the key area for your members. And that's how they will access their data. One of the changes in WHS is that your providers, the club systems, the handicap masters of this world, will no longer be able to provide handicap data other than the player's handicap index. They will not be able to provide historical information or a history of a player's playing record. So that will no longer be available via any of those providers. It will only be available on the Golf Island website by members logging in to see that. It will be a live link to what's happening in the database, and members will get their handicap data updated through that avenue only. So things like you would have seen, the different providers have different ways of portraying this to their customers, and we all know the different methods that are used by particularly Club Systems and Handicap Master. But that will no longer be available, and members will have to first register and then log into the Golf Island website to see their updated handicap index and full playing record. So members will be able to view their handicap index and record only through golfisland.ie. They'll need to register online, and they will register using their 8-digit number. So their existing GolfNet number, as you would know it, will remain in the early days of WHS, and the current PIN on the card will be needed to register on the Golf Island site. So it's the current 8-digit number and current PIN that's going to be required. What we're doing is we're adding the facility to clubs through your GolfNet login to be able to view the PIN numbers of your members again. I know it was removed a while ago, and it will also be added to the individual members login to GolfNet as well. So he or she will be able to find out their PIN number by logging into GolfNet themselves, or they can come to you, and you through your administrator login from the club, or the club official login, female and male, will be able to look at the PIN numbers of your members. That is being added in the next few days. It's not there currently, but it's being added in the next few days to enable members to be able to log in to the new system. In addition then to viewing their handicap index and record, members will be able to request a change in their home club once they've logged into their new club. So if I'm joining a new club, once I've been given my new number, I can then register, and then I can request a change in handicap from my previous club. That will go to my new club, who will authorize that change, and then the old club will be advised that my handicap has been moved. Now, we all know that under WHS, the player can choose where their home club is if they're a member of more than one club. It's now their choice, and that is how they move their handicap record. A club can no longer allocate a transferred handicap effectively to a member. The record must come with the member if they have a previous record. It must come with the member to their home club so that their handicap index can now be calculated. So it now becomes even more essential. The facility has been there for you to request transfers in the past, but it now becomes absolutely essential that this happens when people join your club. So when new members join your club and they're coming from a previous club, we recommend that you advise them to have this done as soon as possible so that that transfer happens and they get their handicap index in order for them to play off the correct handicap. Your members will be able to see their provisional, and we'll talk about why it's provisional in a moment, handicap index sometime during week commencing the 26th of October. There will be a specific login. It's not 100% sure yet whether you'll go to golfisland.ie or a derivative of that, but they will be advised of that, what the login is for them to be able to go and see their new handicap index. So that is for members. Members will be able to see their provisional handicap index during week commencing the 26th of October. I'm going to talk through a bit later where we are with that particular issue, but your members will be able to see their handicap index sometime during week commencing the 26th. Once logged in, a member will be able to see all of the other members of that club's handicaps and their full playing record. So only for that club, obviously. So once logged in, a member can see any other member's handicaps, and that's for peer review purposes. It allows people to see other members' handicaps and to report to the committee if they see any issues which they find concerning or think need to be looked at or reviewed. So part of the peer review issue within WHS is that members can see the handicaps of every other member of that club. Now, for your information and also for members, the old handicap records are being retained on GolfNet, and when golfnet.ie or golfireland.ie is up and running, and probably by the time we get to January next year, you'll still be able to log in to GolfNet, but you'll only be able to see your handicap records, or clubs will be able to see their members' old handicap records. So that facility will remain on GolfNet, but that's the only thing it'll do from this goes live on the 2nd of November. And certainly by the time we come to January, that's the only thing that will be visible from that date. But it's not totally disappearing, so you will have access to it and will be able to see that information. So from a club perspective and from your perspective as handicap secretaries, once you've logged into this new clubhouse.golfireland.ie, you'll have access to your members' provisional handicap indexes from week commencing the 19th of October, so next week. And your members will be able to see that, as we've said earlier, the following week. So you'll have access to this information week commencing the 19th of October. So letters are being sent out, giving you the login that you need to be able to access that site. It's not live at the moment. You can't access it at the moment, but you will receive next week. Each club will receive a letter setting out your login to be able to view the indexes of your members. And once into the clubhouse, you will be able to do the following information as we go live. You'll be able to create and view member information, and we'll look at one in a moment. You'll be able to allocate handicaps in the usual way, which is still the 54 holes for new handicaps, 3 cards or 6 9-hole cards. You'll be able to do general play adjustments, and so on the system now, this is done online, not in your directly in your club software. It's done through this link directly to the handicapping system online. So general play adjustments are all done through this clubhouse.golfireland.ie link. Now, I've put a note here to remind me and you that in the calculation of the new handicap indexes, all we're looking at is the previous 20 scores, or the last 20 scores, and the best 8 of those. Or if a player doesn't have that number, we're using various formula to calculate what their handicap index should be. Any adjustments that you would have made to a player's handicap will be lost. So, for example, if a player, not having played many qualifying competitions, is particularly well performing in match play competitions, and you have reduced their handicap in general play, or if you have increased with the authority of the GUI/ILGU, increase somebody's handicap, that will be lost as well in the changeover, because all WHS is looking at is the scores. So there will be the opportunity after you get the login for you to review the indexes of the members who have been subject to those sorts of changes, to see whether or not you need to change the index before the member gets to see it. So we'll talk about that in a moment as to what's going to be required of you, but it's just to highlight to you that the only thing WHS is looking at is qualifying scores, or scores played in qualifying competitions, to calculate the handicap index. It's not looking at anything else at all. So we'll come back to that to give you a bit more information about that in a moment. So the other thing you'll be able to do is add scores to a player's record. You'll be able to create your own club open competitions in the way you would have done on GolfNet before. That will be done through the Clubhouse login. You'll update your own club information, contact information, team captains, etc., will all be done through the Clubhouse login, not through Golf Ireland. You'll be able to order GolfNet or Golf Ireland cards. They will remain as GolfNet cards until early next year, when they're being reissued to every member as Golf Ireland cards. We're anticipating that early next year, sometime, I would guess February or March, that sort of time. But certainly before the new season starts, we're anticipating every member receiving a Golf Ireland card to replace their GolfNet cards. You'll be able to then pull off handicap reports from the system as well. And it's all done through this Clubhouse login, not through anything else. And your software at club level will be looking at the handicap online to get that information as well. So it's no longer the home of your members' handicap information. The home for it is now online, and your software will be looking at that to get the updated index for your members. In addition to that, you'll be able to view course information only, and we'll look at that again in a moment as well. So this is your course information in relation to the setup of your holes, the yardage, the par, the stroke index, etc. You better look at that in the Clubhouse, and that is the information that will be used by your software to play your competition. So it's essential that is correct, and we would ask you to check that when you have access to golfireland.ie, or sorry, the Clubhouse at golfireland.ie. I'm quite happy to go back over some of this if anybody wants to. When I get to the end of this, if any of this hasn't been clear or you want me to repeat it, we'll certainly do that. We'll unmute everybody at the end of this section and then give you the opportunity to ask any questions you want. So course and slope ratings should be straightforward, that all clubs have had their team positions rated in accordance with what's called the USGA course rating system. You should have received by now your certificate showing your course and slope ratings and also your course handicap table. If you haven't received that, maybe you can put that message into the chat box or by send a return email to me to let us know you haven't received that, and we will, if necessary, send out a further copy to you. But every club should have now received that information. The USGA system is available on a public site for anybody to view, so you can view any other club's ratings should you need to at that website address. And as I say, I'll copy this presentation to you so that you can either write that down or I'll copy it to you so you'll see it on that. If you're searching for another club, just to let you know, you must either select Ireland if it's in the 26 counties, or Northern Ireland if it's in the 6 counties, and then enter the club name and enter, and then the information will be available to you at the bottom of that screen. So now Golf Ireland will have a 10-year program in place to re-rate every golf course and every set of tees. It's the intention of Golf Ireland that every set of tees on your course is rated for both genders to play. That's not the case in Ulster at the moment. We have rated in the main what would traditionally have been classed as men's tees for men to play, and for the ladies' tees, with some additions, have been rated for ladies to play. But it's the intention of Golf Ireland that every set of tees should be rated for both genders, and therefore people can play on any set of tees, depending on which course is set up for a particular competition. And the system will then allow that to happen because they've been rated accordingly. So it's the intention of Golf Ireland that will happen. It won't happen certainly before the season gets underway next year. That's a big undertaking. It's been a big undertaking to rate every golf course in Ireland to the extent we have so far. So it's another job of work for us to do. But once that's done, that information will be available on that link that I've given you above. But it's important that any changes to your course, any issues with those ratings, that you must advise us about that so that we can consider whether a change to the ratings is required. So if there are issues with that, please let us know if you're making changes to your golf course, and we need to take those into account. Some of these ratings were done 2 years ago, and there may well have been changes that have happened. Let us know what the changes are. We can review the information that we have, and we'll advise you whether any of those changes will make a difference to the ratings that have been allocated for your course. So, handicap index is this first tier of a player's playing handicap. It's the first thing or the first bit of data that's required by a player. And this is the handicap index is what the player takes wherever he or she goes to play their golf. And it's the piece of information they need to know before they arrive to play a round of golf. So the calculation of the index has been taken from GolfNet. So we have downloaded already the information from GolfNet. We have processed everybody's handicap index based on the data at the end of July. We've taken another download just recently and are processing that at the moment. So at the minute, both the GUI and the ILGU can see in that clubhouse the handicap index of every player on the island of Ireland. Okay, so it's there, and the system to update that is very similar to how New Zealand Golf is working with Golfbox, a firm called Golfbox, who are operating the behind-the-scenes matters relating to the handicapping system. So the system is very similar to how it's working in New Zealand, how it updates from club level to the online system. And therefore, we're not anticipating that the issues that arose whenever, for example, Golfbot or GolfNet 2 came out will happen, because it's a replication of something that's already happening elsewhere in the world with the same company involved, I have to say as well. So we're not anticipating any issues. We had hoped to be able to run a dual reporting system, one to GolfNet and one to the new W8 system for a period of time before the launch. But because of the late sign-in or the late sign-up by those two companies that I mentioned earlier, that's not going to be possible. But we're still confident that the system will work as it's envisaged that it will work. So, and this comes back to what I said to you about the provisional handicap indexes of your members, because the final download will only occur at the end of October, immediately prior to the launch. And that will determine the actual handicap index of your members as at day one of the new scheme. So if you go online, as I said to you, next week and see the handicap index of one of your members, it's possible that might change between then and the 1st of November or the 2nd of November, simply because there are other scores that still have to be downloaded from GolfNet since we did the last download, which was the first week in October. So if there are any later scores, that might change that figure. So you will need to take that into account when you're considering whether any adjustments to that handicap index is needed before it goes live. So that will be the only adjustment that's made if any scores are added to the system after we did the last download. And as you know, the index is based on the best 8 out of the last 20 scores. And it does take into account exceptional scores, but only those defined by the new scheme. So if a player shot 4 under, 4 and a 5 under, they would have been subject to an exceptional scoring reduction under the Kongu scheme and would have had their handicap cut. But under the new scheme, they wouldn't be, because the exceptional scoring kicks in at 7. So therefore, that reduction will be lost whenever the player's handicap index is calculated. And there are formulas, as I said earlier, to deal with players who've less than 20 scores in the last 3 years. So this year plus the previous 2, including those with none. So if I have a handicap and that has been carried forward every year for the last 3 years, and I've never played a qualifying round in that time, there's a formula to calculate a handicap index for that individual to give them an equivalent handicap. That obviously they will, if they then return a score, they will then come into the other formulas that are there if you've less than 3 scores. So I think we went through that at the last presentation, and it's certainly the manual sets out the formulas that are done to calculate a handicap index. And I don't intend to go through that tonight. But if anybody has any questions as to how that will be calculated, please let us know and we'll certainly come back to you. But there will be formulas built into this to enable handicap indexes to be calculated for every person who currently has a handicap on the GolfNet system. But clubs will also have access to a Kongu/WHS variation report. And this will assist with the review prior to the launch. So there's a report going to be produced for each club for you to look at the major differences between what the WHS is saying and what Kongu said, what it currently says. So instead of you having to look at, if you 500 members, looking at 500 members, you at least will have a starting point to look at the ones with the main variances to see are they correct, do they need adjusted. So you will have the opportunity to look at that, even if you don't get the opportunity to look at every member of your club. You will at least have those highlighted to you, the ones that are have the most difference between the two. This is just for your information. This is mine. When you go into the clubhouse and search for one of your members, this is what you will see as far as the handicapping record is concerned. So there's mine. My number is actually displayed there. I put question marks. But the actual number is actually displayed there. It says whether I'm active or not. I'm a member of which club I'm a member of. You can print a handicap certificate, or you can go for further details, whichever I've used when I've registered. You can see that. In addition to that, then you can see the full playing record, and that's a full playing record, and that's how it will appear to you on the screen. So you will see the 20 scores that are the last 20 scores. Well, there's only 19 on my record, and then that will highlight the 8 scores in yellow that are being counted to calculate my handicap index. So this is what's available to the player when he logs into golfireland.ie. He will be able to see exactly the same information. You will be able to see that information through the clubhouse, clubhouse.golfireland.ie. And searching for a member, you will be able to view that information as well. So clubs and members will be able to see that information, and that's how you access it. But that's what a record looks like when it's complete. And this has been done, as I said, for every member across the island of Ireland as we currently speak, but only based on, well, the last upload was made at the end of the first week in October. And we have one more to do at the end of the Kongu scheme at the end of October. So what's expected of you? Acceptable score competition, so that's your normal club competitions, Stableford, stroke, 4-ball, etc. But Stableford and stroke competitions run by affiliated clubs, so that's you on software at club level. So you will have your software package. You will run those on your software at club level. So that's not through the clubhouse. It's done through your handicapping software at club level, your competition software at club level. The software will update the WHS platform with the handicapping data only at midnight each day if there's been any scores to upload or thereabouts. Not everybody will go at midnight, obviously, but you understand the theory of how that will work. So the scores now in each competition, I would explain it this way to you. It's not quite the way it works, but I think this is the best way to explain it. The scores in each competition now go two ways. They go to handicapping and they go to competition results. The handicapping one does not rely on anything happening to the club results one, and vice versa. So the committee can close the competition down at 9 p.m., publish their results, etc., or they can close their competition and publish the results 2 days later. That has no impact on what's happening to the handicapping element of that competition. It is uploaded to the WHS platform at midnight and therefore amends the handicap of the player concerned. Now, if the committee in their closing of the competition has issues with a score that's been put onto the system, it's been incorrectly put onto the system, and they wish to adjust it, they will be able to do that. But the likelihood of that happening, or the percentage of that happening, is, as we all know, very small. And therefore, it's felt correct that the scores that are input by the player count immediately to his handicap adjustment, and then the committee can amend it should the need arise. So if there's found to be an incorrect score put onto the system, that can be corrected. It also allows the PCC, which is effectively the equivalent of having an SSS or a CSS, I should say, in the current scheme, even though it will be minor in nature. It will be calculated every day based on the scores going up, whether they're qualifying scores or non-qualifying scores. They're not done by competition now, they're done by day, and therefore the PCC will be calculated, and that will affect the adjustment or the score that goes on the player's record. Now, we are saying to clubs that members may require access to a computer terminal, and therefore the software is being set up to enable members to look at their handicap index. So therefore, we are recommending that clubs enable that to happen so members can see their handicap index if they don't have access to the Golf Island website at any particular point in time. And particularly before the app comes in and members need access, we're recommending that clubs allow their computer terminals to be left turned on.
Right.
One more for you, and that is inter-club competitions. We're currently, both the GUI and ILGU are examining these new handicap indexes and the course handicaps that have been provisionally allocated to players across the country. Still, no final decisions have been taken on eligibility for particular competitions. Okay, so that's the position still as we stand, but it's likely to be based, very likely to be based on the handicap index of the players concerned. There'll be no minimum number of rounds in a year to be eligible to compete, and no shots will be given. So that's the likely outcome of where we are as far as inter-club competitions. But the handicap indexes that will apply to particular competitions has not been finalised either by the GUI or ILGU as such yet. But there is general agreement that there'll be no minimum number of rounds or shots given. But that's still to be finalised. So we will publish that information as soon as that decision has been taken. But you can probably see the avenue where this is likely to go. The format of those competitions is likely to be home and away, in a similar vein to what GUI and ILGU have done. That's if there's 5 matches, 3 at home, 2 away, or 7 matches, 4 at home and 3 away, rather than all at home and all away. So the format that's been followed, I know in some places across the country, is likely to be the format that's followed for every competition, both male and female, in 2021. Golf Island have made that decision on the basis that we have no idea where COVID-19 is going to be, and therefore we're better off playing the competitions the way they have been played this year, and also other years for both genders in different parts of the country. The national finals are being run jointly. We're running some provincial finals jointly between the men and the women, but the national finals are being run jointly at 4 venues across the country, and COVID-19 permitting. That they're all for every weekend in September or every weekday in September. That's when they're happening, and club entries were happening in January for these competitions. So you won't have seen entries for those yet, and you won't be seeing them until approximately January 21 before entries open for those competitions. I think that's. I'll stop sharing that for a moment and ask anybody if they want to ask any questions on